Welcome, everybody. My name is Veena Rao. I am an independent educational consultant. I work with high school students, grades 9 through 12, to help them navigate high school and get them ready for the college admissions process. Today I'm doing a presentation titled, I'm a Junior, What Should I Be Doing to Get Ready for the College Admissions Process? It is a presentation that's geared towards students who are current juniors in their spring semester of high school, who are trying to figure out how they finish high school, what they need to be concerned about, and what they need to be doing to be able to prepare for the college admissions process. So in terms of today's presentation, I am going to be covering a number of issues. So in terms of, once again, the presentation is called, I'm a Junior, what should I be doing to prepare for the college admissions process? And in terms of navigating this presentation, what I'm going to be able to do is to give you an overview of the admissions process. I'm going to be covering what universities consider when they receive an application for admission from a student. I'll be doing a brief overview because I've done this presentation in full before, so you're welcome to access the presentation that's on my YouTube page. And part of the reason why I cover the overview of the admissions process is I want you to be able to understand what you need to do to prepare for the college admissions process. I'll explain the things that you need to be considering between now and the time of application. I'll also give you an overview of the junior-senior timeline, starting now through the end of your senior year. And throughout the presentation, I'll give you resources that you can access to help you understand what you need to be doing. And if you stay through to the end, I will also give you information about how you can access some resources from me. All right. In terms of the factors that universities consider when they receive an application for admission, they've pretty much outlined what this looks like. For instance, the UCs have the 14 factors, which are their comprehensive review process in their comprehensive review process. Other universities have basically laid out what they do when they receive an application for admission. And some of them are quite clear in terms of what they're looking for from students, in that they're looking at your academic achievement. What does that mean? Well, and I will go into this in a little bit more detail shortly, but academic achievement means they're looking at your transcript. They're looking to see what grades you've received in the classes that you've taken. They're looking at the rigor of your curriculum. What does the school offer you as a student in terms of classes from grades 9 through 12, and what have you taken? Have you been challenging yourself? Have you been taking classes that allow you to explore your interests within the context of the school? If you are doing a straight A, if you're a straight A student, did you take those honors classes, those AP classes? If you're in a school that offers the IB curriculum, are you doing the IB diploma? So they're looking to see how rigorous your classes are in the context of what your school offers, and then check to see what you've taken advantage of. Standardized testing is a part of the admissions process, but obviously a lot has been changing now because of the pandemic. But they're looking at your SAT and ACT scores. Again, I'll cover this a little bit later in the presentation as well, about what you need to be concerned about with respect to standardized testing. They look at the letters of recommendation that your teachers have written, possibly your coaches, but they want to know who you are as a student in the classroom. What kind of qualities do you demonstrate that the teacher can speak about? What kind of a citizen are you in the classroom and in your community? Those are the things that they're going to try and look for in those letters of recommendation. Your college essays are an important part of the college admissions process because it allows them to learn something about you. So hopefully you focus your college essays on things that are not already there in your college application, meaning that your essays shouldn't be about your grades or your just focused on your extracurricular activities. It's an opportunity for you to speak about yourself. So they're looking to your college essays to see, what kind of a person you will be, what kind of a person you are, and how they can envision you on their campus, for instance. They'll look at your extracurricular activities and how you've explored certain academic interests, for instance. In terms of extracurricular activities, they're not looking at quantity. They don't want you to do 8, 10, 15 things. They want to look for quality. They're looking to see, what activities you've engaged in and what kind of an impact you've had in your school, in your community as a result of the activities you've engaged in. And how does that really reflect on the person that you are? They look at your school counselor's recommendation. So it could be a personal recommendation, meaning like he or she, your counselor, talks a lot about you, or they could be talking about the school. So it depends on, what the counselor is able to do, but it allows the universities to see you in the context of your school as a student, as well as understand what your counselor has to say about you. They're looking to see where in your application you've been able to demonstrate your academic motivations, be able to demonstrate intellectual curiosity. If you are one of those people with special talents, say you're an athlete or a musician, they could be looking for those kind of skills and qualities in your college application as well. Um, some universities will consider demonstrated interest, meaning that they want to know that you're genuinely interested in coming to their university. So as part of the application process, when you submit your application, they would have evaluated how you engaged with them, whether you were in touch, whether you've attended their on-campus visits or definitely done virtual visits with them, whether you've engaged their admissions counselor when he or she has come to your school to speak, whether you've emailed the admissions counselor. But some schools do. Not all schools consider demonstrated interest. They're looking at your demographics. What state do you come from? Are you from a rural or an urban part of the state? They look at your ethnic background. They'll look to see whether you're a first-gen student, or if they're looking at your parents, they'll look to see how far they've been able to go academically themselves. So those are all the demographic parts of your application. Your ability to pay is also a factor in admissions. So that is part of the college admissions process. So in terms of when the universities receive your application for admission, these are all the factors that they consider. Well, why is this important? Well, it allows you to understand what you need to be doing, right? In terms of your application itself. So your grades are important. So you need to make sure, especially your junior year, you finish out really strongly, meaning that you need to put your effort into getting really good grades this term. And the same thing is true for the fall semester of your senior year. Your fall semester grades may be part of the admissions process consideration if you are applying, for instance, regular decision. Usually universities that will require you to send in your fall semester grades as soon as you receive them. So it's important that you do really well this semester. You could have hiccups again, but you need to make sure you finish out the year strong. And the rigor of your curriculum, again, matters. So even though universities may not have your fall transcript for your senior year, they will still know what courses you're taking because they're going to ask you to tell them what courses you're taking. So make sure you choose your fall semester courses wisely. For most students, your applications will go in between October and mid-January. So there will be schools that will come with deadlines after that, but what that means basically is they will have your 9th through 11th grades in front of them. But as soon as you get your senior year grades, those will get sent in. So the first semester grades. And your counselor will upload that transcript to the schools that require it. So it is important that you do really well during your senior year first semester. Standardized testing. So if you're planning on taking the SAT or the ACT, you need to know what the testing policies of the university are as part of your search now for colleges, and then make sure that you know when you're planning on taking the test. You may have to sign up for multiple test dates, given that so many of them are being canceled right now because the pandemic has not abated in a lot of places. If you are taking AP classes, make sure you try and take those AP exams for those classes. And for the fall semester, again, if you're taking AP classes in your senior year, you sign up for the AP exams. And the AP exams serve two purposes, right? They're demonstrating the rigor of your curriculum when you take those AP classes. But if you take the exams, you have the ability to get credit towards college classes on your transcript. And the universities, each university has their own way of evaluating your AP exam credits. So you need to go and check that out. But, and the other part is, even if they will give you credit, and or they will allow you to bypass one of the base classes that you need to take as part of your major. So it could serve dual purposes. Extracurricular activities, you need to make sure you continue to do them now, as well as in your senior year. I know a lot has changed because of the pandemic. A lot of extracurricular activities have gone virtual or have just stopped. I have a number of resources on my website, so feel free to visit my website to be able to learn about perhaps other online opportunities that you may find interesting. But you can also, some of it is students are at home. So which means you may have a lot more responsibilities. So just try and balance your extracurricular activities to be able to, reflect on what it is you've got time to do and figure out what falls within your interests. Okay. And it's important, if you have the ability to explore extracurricular activities that are a reflection of the major you want to pursue, try and do those. So that you've got something to talk about in your college application in the activities section, but also perhaps in your essays, for instance. Your letters of recommendation are really important. So it's important, and your junior year teachers are going to be the ones who are going to be writing those letters of rec. So it's important that you ask them early. Some teachers will wait till the fall to write them for you, even if they're your junior year teachers, but at least if you alert them to the fact that you're going to ask them, they know that, this is something they need to be prepared for. But it also gives you the time now to make sure that you're developing relationships with the teachers who are going to write your letters of recommendation. What does that look like? It means that you need to participate actively in class so that the teacher is able to understand the type of student you are, your intellectual curiosity, your motivation to learn. It'll also help you demonstrate the kind of student you are in the classroom if you're volunteering to help others understand. Reach out to teachers during office hours. If their teacher is offering you extra credit opportunities, maybe take advantage of that so that you've got more interaction with the teacher to be able to get that project work done. So take time to build your relationships with the teachers that you may want to consider having you write your letters of recommendation. And then this is also the time where you focus on developing your college list. It shouldn't be based on the US News and World Report, because we need to make sure that the college list that you develop is a reflection of your needs, right? It is a reflection of the kind of academic environment you're looking for, the social environment. It's in the location that you want it to be. And that, it is a list that will ultimately be no more than 10 schools, perhaps, that are a mixture of reach, target, and match schools. And I'll go into explain what that means a little bit further in the presentation. But we need to make sure that you create a list that's a reflection of who you are. So these are the tasks that you need to be focused on now as a junior. So in terms of standardized testing, the two big tests are obviously the ACT and the SAT. The College Board just discontinued the SAT subject test. So those are no longer required, are things that you would be required to take as part of the college admissions process. But in terms of understanding the terminology, you need to understand what these terms, test optional, test blind, and test flexible, mean. What does test optional mean? Test optional means that the student, you have the ability to decide whether or not you want to take the SAT or the ACT, and whether you want the universities to consider your scores. So you have the ability to go in with respect to each university that you're applying to and decide whether you want the test score to be part of the admissions consideration, or you're saying, I don't want you to, consider my test scores for my application. And what you need to remember is, even prior to COVID, over 1,000 universities in this country were test optional, meaning that they were giving students the choice to submit test scores if they wanted it to be part of the admission cycle. For fall 2021, which is the current seniors, over 1,650 universities said that they were test optional. That list is now growing for fall 2022. So far, we have about 1,350 universities that have decided that they're going to be test optional for fall 2022, which is the current juniors. The next policy you need to be aware of is test blind. Test blind means that even if you take the SAT or the ACT, and it shows up somewhere in your application, the university will not consider your test scores as part of the admissions process. So for fall 2022 in California, for instance, the Cal States were test blind, and so were the UCs. They didn't consider your test scores as part of the admissions process at all. For fall 2022, what's going to happen is the UCs, some of them have now announced their testing policies. Berkeley and UCLA have said that they are test blind. The Cal States are once again test blind for fall 2022. Okay, so that's what test blind means. Even if you take the tests, they will not consider them for admission. What does test flexible mean? Test flexible means that there are universities that allow you to submit other things in lieu of the SAT or the ACT. So before the College Board decided to get rid of the SAT subject test, some universities would say, well, if you don't want to submit your SAT or ACT scores, you could submit your SAT subject test to us, or you could submit some AP exam scores for us to look at. One of the universities, Brandeis, for instance, has specific conditions, but they said, if you provide a graded paper from one of your classes, we will consider that in lieu of the SAT or the ACT. So there are universities that have that particular test flexible policy in place. Whatever it is you're planning on doing, whether you're going to apply to test optional schools, test blind, or test flexible, you need to now make a decision about whether or not you're going to prepare for the SAT or the ACT. And as part of that preparation, if you haven't already begun that process, what you need to do is to, if you've decided you're going to take the test, take a full length SAT test or an ACT test under proper testing conditions. The tests are all available online. on the College Board website and the ACT's website. You can take a sample test and then decide which one of those tests works better for you. The tests are distinct in terms of like, what they are expecting of students and how, and the time it takes to answer each question, for instance. So you need to know which one you prefer to take. And then based on that, if you're planning on taking them, then study for that particular test and sign up for those test dates. Okay, so that's, and then once you get your test scores, then you have to decide that if you're applying to a test optional university, whether you're going to submit those scores or not. That's part of the calculation you're going to make once you see your actual test score. Okay, and if you're not going to take the test, this is a great opportunity for you to take the time to maybe invest in some other activity or a class that you would want to take that helps you develop and create sort of a stronger application for admission. The next part of it, obviously, is your academic history. It's a myth to say that my ninth grade, grades don't matter, or, the high school grades don't matter. All 4 years of your transcript matter, even for the UCs, where they will recalculate your GPA to include 9th and 10th grade classes. They still ask you to list your 9th grade classes. So your grades throughout high school do matter. But if you faltered, it's okay. You can't be too hard on yourself. You need to know that what they're looking for is, even if you faltered, that they're looking for an upward trajectory in your grades, that you have then chosen to, invest yourself and do really well in the remaining classes that are there. Do really well now in your junior year and finish this year out strong, and do really well in your senior year as well. So your first semester senior grades might very well be part of the application process. So you need to make sure you do a really good job. The rigor of your curriculum matters. So if you have time, then maybe take some classes this summer, and definitely look for strong classes for your senior year. Okay, so select rigorous classes for your senior year curriculum. And if one of the other things that is important is to look to see if there are classes that support your potential major. You could explore that at your own high school, or you could explore that at a local community college, for instance. You could look to see if there are issues that sort of come up in classes that you're really interested in pursuing. Maybe you want to do an independent research project on your own, but whatever it is, explore that, because some of these questions do show up on the college essays when they ask you to explain what you've done to explore your academic interests. A question on the UCPIQ, or it could be, why are you interested in pursuing this major? Well, you'll be able to answer that if you've had some exposure to the subjects that you're going to pursue at university already. Okay. In terms of developing your college list, the first part of the college list development process is self-reflection. You need to be able to understand why you want to go to college. Is there a true desire to learn? And what does that look like to you? What do you see as your outcomes from your college education? Are you looking for just basically a good paying job? Do you want something that gives you a good career path to pursue? Or is this like a stepping stone? Is the 4-year university a stepping stone to a degree like a law degree? Or do you want to go to medical school? If you want to do, say, for instance, do you want to do a PhD? Or do you want to go and get a master's? So you need to understand where that journey is going to take you once you start applying to college. Is money the driving passion? And it could very well be, because you want to make sure that you have a really good paying job when you come out of university. Well, if that's the case, then you need to know that as part of the college application process. You need to know that, whether or not you're going to be committed to being a student. Part of college is, obviously the that independence that you gain. You want to be able to grow as a person, but it is also a huge academic commitment and a financial commitment. So you need to make sure that you're okay with going to college to be able to pursue academics and understand it's going to take 4 years at least to be able to get your degree. Yeah. And then once you have done a little bit of that self-exploration, you start developing your initial college list. And there are several factors that you would consider as part of that. Academics. What do you plan to major in? Is it really offered at the universities that you're now picking to put on your college list? And as part of that exploration, when you're looking at the university, does it offer you more than one choice of majors, right? Are you interested in pursuing something else at that university? You need to do a deep dive. You could go in as an undeclared major. Almost every college or university allows you to come in as an undeclared major. So, but the level of supports that they offer undeclared majors may differ. So understand what that looks like at that particular university you're planning on applying to. And know one thing, that is, you could decide, well, I want to major in communications. Once you get there, you should be open to the idea that you may change your major. There's a huge percentage of students who go in thinking I'll do A and then end up doing B or C, right? So it's important that you are open-minded about what it is you intend to pursue. Look at the social scene. That's an important factor in choosing your home for the next 4 years. Do you want a small or a big campus? Is Greek life important to you? Do you want a school with lots of school spirit, meaning that there are big sports teams and, and that's part of weekend activities is cheering on your sports team, for instance. Do you want to be in a party school? For a lot of kids, it is a consideration. For some, it's the opposite. They don't want the party school environment. So what are you looking for in that particular school? Is religious affiliation important to you? Well, you need to figure out if you are looking for religious schools, there are schools with that particular bend. Politics has become a big part of our lives now. And so you need to look at the political nature of the campus and how are students of the opposite nature made to feel on that particular campus. Location of the university is important. Do you want to stay local? A lot of students have opted to stay in state once this pandemic began. Do you want to stay in state? Do you want to go out of state? If so, how far out of state do you want to go? What part of the US do you want to stay in? Are you applying to, a rural campus, an urban campus? Are you okay with it being a college town? Or do you need, what do you need out of the location of the university? And one of the biggest things that you need to look for as part of your college list development is your family finances. What does your family need in order for you to go to college in terms of need-based aid, merit? Are you looking for merit-based aid? You need to have these discussions as a family as part of your college list development. So what do you need to be doing this summer as a junior, right? You need to get ready for that college admissions process. So you will start developing the list, and hopefully by midsummer, you've narrowed that list down. So it should be no more than like 10 schools at 12 schools max. But as part of that narrowing down your college list, you need to try and either visit schools in person, assuming that the campuses are open for in-person visits, or do virtual visits. Do deep dives into the college website to learn more about the culture of the university, what they're offering, what kind of clubs and activities are open to you. Reach out to students who may have attended the university. If you don't know people who've attended the university, you can always reach out to the admissions office and say, can you please get me in touch with some students that I want to speak to? That's an option as well. There are videos on websites like Campus Reel about the campus itself, about the nature of the school. YouTube has tons of them as well. Students have put them all out and created them for you to take a look at. Study. So if you're, if you need to take summer classes to boost your academic transcript, do that. If you have specific courses you're interested in exploring because they may help you understand your potential major, definitely do that. Create a standardized testing plan. If you haven't already studied and taken the SAT and plan to do so, then you need to understand when you're going to take the test and track the deadlines for the particular one you want to take. And then start working on the college applications. The essays will be out. So you need to create a Google document, for instance, copy the prompts for the UC PIQs if you're applying to the UCs, the Common App prompts, the supplementary essays required by each of the universities on your list, drop it into a Google document and arrange it by deadline so that you know when you need to complete the essays by. But during the summer, work on the essays. Start brainstorming. It's important that you spend time to brainstorm all your essays. And then when you start writing drafts, edit, edit, edit. The reason being, these are not like the essays that you're writing for English class or, some history paper or something. These essays are different because they are a reflection of who you are. It is a different type of essay that you're writing. So it's important that you spend time brainstorming them and then editing them to make sure that you're sharing important information about yourself. You're sharing who you are. You're telling them your unique story. Okay. Applications, physical applications open up. Not physical, sorry. The applications open up, the portals open up on August 1st, be it the Common App, the UC apps, the Cal States come a little bit later, but you need to start then working on components of the application so that you can be prepared to submit them when you're ready. The financial aid applications open up on October 1st. So it's important that you try and get those done as close to October 1 as possible. Okay. And then in terms of the timeline, right, between now and the end of your senior year, what do you do? Well, your spring semester, what's important? You need to pay attention to your grades, your extracurricular activities, make sure you create a good class list for the fall semester and work on your initial college list if you haven't started. And then this summer, if you're planning on sitting the standardized tests, start preparing for them. If you're taking summer classes, obviously stay focused on that. Research the colleges that you've put on your college list, and then start narrowing that list down. Start working on your college essays again, and then start filling out your college applications once the formal applications open up. In the fall semester, your grades are obviously really important still, so pay attention in class, do really well, work on your extracurricular activities, make sure you comply with your school's deadlines regarding when you need to let your counselors know about your college application lists, the deadline by which you need to have requested your letters of recommendation from your teachers. And then pay attention to the college application deadlines. Understand whether you're applying early action, early decision. There's something called restrictive early action. You need to understand what those mean. Regular decision and rolling application deadlines. Pay attention and fill out the FAFSA and the CSS profile if you need need-based aid. Again, I have a presentation that I've already done on this topic. Feel free to access that. December, January of your senior year, if you get deferred from your ED schools, then you need to make sure that you have other schools that you want to apply to and that you've continued, hopefully, the application process, even though you applied ED. Make sure you check your portals once you submit your applications to see if the university is requesting any information from you that you need to supplement. check your, once you've submitted your FAFSA, make sure you're checking to make your SAR report, check to see if you've been selected for verification, then comply with those requirements, and make sure that your fall semester grades have gone in. If the university is requesting them, make sure your letters of recommendation have been submitted. And then if there are change in financial circumstances, that you alert the financial aid office of that. So there are steps that you need to follow with respect to that. Once you start getting your decisions, then you need to be able to understand what the financial aid award looks like, and then, compare the financial aid packages that you're getting from different schools. Participate in the admitted student events so that you can do, once again, you can get in and have a deep understanding of the universities you're ultimately going to be selecting from. And your deadline to select and commit to a university, unless you've applied early decision, is May 1st. From almost all students, it's May 1st, unless you applied early decision, right? So you take the time to understand the universities, once again, that you've applied to, and then select the one that's the right one for you. And then between April and the summer's end, you will need to probably sign up for housing on campus. Obviously, enjoy your graduation. It's well earned. Sign up for freshman orientation, because that's part of the university's ability to welcome you on campus. That's when you do your fall semester course selection at most universities. And then spend the time over the summer with your friends, and then as well get ready for university life. But in terms of my approach to working with students, I work throughout from grades 9 through 12 to make sure that, we work on all these different aspects of your college application. I make sure that when I work with students, that that the academics, extracurricular activities, their courses of study, who they are as students, as members of this student body and the community, are all a reflection of of them as individual students. But in terms of the services that I offer a comprehensive plan where I work with students from their junior year through their senior year to try and help them get ready and get through that admissions process. I have targeted services that I offer for families, where I will work on college list development for the family. I help students with essays only if they want to come to me for that purpose. Over the summer, I plan to offer boot camps so that students can get ready to brainstorm and work on their Common App personal statement, their UC PIQs if they're applying to the UCs only, and then the supplemental essays for other universities on the Common App or the Coalition app. But in terms of your journey, you've got a lot going for you. I wish you juniors every success as you navigate the remainder of high school and start the college application process. If you'd like to learn more about how I can help, please feel free to schedule a 30-minute consultation with me. My number and the website is listed. It'll also be in the bio at the bottom. And for high school juniors, I have created an ebook that outlines all of these topics for you. So if you'd like to get a copy of the ebook, I will provide a link in the description below where you can reach out to me and ask me for a copy of the ebook itself. If you like this video and if you've enjoyed the presentation, please give it a big thumbs up. And you can always visit my website to learn more about the other presentations that I have scheduled for high school students. Thank you very much for joining me today. And I wish you every success. Thank you.